Oh
Hey,
boy.
good morning, everyone. Welcome as you come on in. It is the Sick of This Show Notes of the Week. I'm Nick Paro, and I'm bringing on my good friend Walter Rhein for another week of insane notes and insane actions. We're also going to be bringing on Shane Yirak here in a couple minutes once he
Uh,
joins the chat. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. I'm pulling up my live now too, so I can see
yeah,
what
I'm trying to
all of
find
you
it.
amazing people are writing for us. It's taking a little bit of time right now and harder to
That's the
find.
issue. Yeah, I can't find it. Everything every day it's different. Like they have a whole new dashboard on Substack every day, but
Oh, and my
we
live isn't
adapt.
even showing my chat on the screen. That's silly.
Yeah,
Oh, there we
that's
go. My chat is live and we are live and everybody's coming on in. And smash that heart button. We found out from
Mhm.
our friends Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman that there is a little trick to the heart button, and every unique person who hits it actually helps start the post with a number of likes equal to the number of people who hit that heart. So if all 42 of you hit the heart, all 40 we'll start with 42 likes right on the post when with show notes. That way we can help make it bigger, get the word out. We got a lot to talk about. It's been a busy week, Walter, as
yeah,
usual.
yeah.
Um, Hello everyone in the chat. I see Beth, Courtney, Christiane, lots of friends. Elizabeth, good morning. Tabitha. I can't see all the names. There's our friend Shane. Welcome, my friend. We're gonna pull you in. And please, everyone, if you have not yet done so, please subscribe to myself and Walter. Subscribe to Shane when he comes into the live. Support all three of us. We work together a lot
Oh,
in many areas. All three of us are working on collaborating together with Banner and Backbone, my other network that I helped co-found with Lawrence Winterman and Frederick Pogue. Both Walter and Shane are incredible writers. They both have a very unique writing style each, and they're amazing. I love both of theirs. Good morning, Shane.
What's
Welcome, my
going
friend.
on?
nice
Just
to
Well,
giving you
meet you. We
praise.
haven't talked before.
I know it's nice to meet you, man.
so
Yeah,
Shane
perfect.
meet Walter. Walter meet Shane. I'm glad I could finally introduce the both of you on a live
I
together.
love that.
And like I was saying, as heaping praise on both of you here is you're both
Appreciate that.
amazing writers. You're both also really good at writing notes. Um, and I am trying to learn to write some better notes actually, and I've started to gain some traction in some of my notes too. Um, but I've learned from how you guys do it, and I've learned from some of the tricks you guys are doing and the formatting updates and little bits of bold or italics here and there, highlight the text, bring your eye to it,
Yes.
and it really works. And we do it for a reason. We do sometimes, at least I do sometimes, is I don't radicalize things. I use words specifically so that you get the meaning of what I'm saying very, very blatantly and very, very forwardly. And so I want to talk about notes and what your guys' favorite note from this past week has been. It doesn't have to be your most popular. Walter, you've been here for all of these, so you
Yes.
know the norm. And so we'll find our favorite note, we'll put them in the chat so that everyone can go see it, like it, share it, comment on it if you want to as well. That really helps. Walter and Shane both have some incredible notes that they put out. So let's get into it a little bit. Walter, do you want to lead us off today?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, this is a wonderful. I so appreciate having Shane here, and we'll do more talks. This is how we do this. We build these connections, and we keep growing, and we introduce our group to other groups, and we keep expanding and getting bigger. And soon we'll all be connected and so powerful they can't silence us. So that's our goal here. I think
Absolutely.
this week, and it's actually talking about notes is funny because I was in a writing group with Christina God the other day, and her husband had gone through. She was talking with Robin Wilding, and they're like, "Robin, you did 1,600 notes," and she's like, "Who do you think of your group has done the most notes?" She's like, "Walter." She's like, "Yep, it was seven." Like in the last year, she said it was 7,600 notes that I did. So I'm just like, Well, I don't know, but I'm just tossing them out. And
Yep.
I'll write the same note different ways. I'll just like, because it's like throwing paper in the wind, you know? You write a
Yeah.
note, maybe it goes away, write it a different way, it goes away. And so it's just a good kind of just sketch pad where you get instant reactions and then you can write your articles from that. But I think the one this week that really has kind of resonated with me is that I want to change the perspective because I'm seeing all these people saying, they're telling our soldiers, I don't remember the note, I got to go find it, but they're telling our soldiers don't obey the illegal orders. And I say, no, our narrative has to be tell our leaders not to give illegal orders. We shouldn't put this pressure on our soldiers. And we, as people
Mm-hmm.
speak and comment, we can put pressure on the leaders. Say, you give an illegal order, you're going to jail. And we need to make that the narrative because we can't put our soldiers in this position where we're expecting them to receive illegal orders that they must then, not perform. No, our job is to put our soldiers in a position where they're being led by honorable people who know the consequences of, calling for the death of Americans, which is what our leaders have been doing.
Oh yeah.
That press conference this morning. So
Yeah.
and the response I got to this was really strange because a lot of people kept trying to cycle it back to justifying why they're talking to the soldiers. And I'm like, guys, flip that switch in your brain. Put your attention on the leaders who are behaving unethically. So that's the
Yeah.
note that came to me.
Yeah, that's a great one. So let's talk a little bit about that because I'm a veteran, and I've taken the oath of enlistment. I was a enlisted soldier, so I got out of the army as a sergeant, which is an E5. I trained and led soldiers. I was trained and led by other soldiers. I helped uh, train during. I helped my unit train and was a a guest augmented instructor for the National Training Center for at our unit's National Training Center rotation for a pre-deployment
Uh-huh.
training. Like I've been inside, I know what it's like on the inside as a enlisted soldier. I also lived with a dad who was an officer. My one of my brothers was an officer. I've had sister-in-laws. I have cousins. I have people in my family. I have uncles. I have
Yeah.
basically everyone in my fucking family is either enlisted or an officer. You only get those two choices. Well, none of them have gone commission warrant. None of us have gotten warrant officers. The story on that I can't tell as to why one of us didn't, and it really sucks, and it's a piece of shit story, and I hate it. But we all swear an oath. We each swear an oath, and the oath of commissioned officers is different than the oath of enlistment. However, both oaths put the Constitution before anything. Support and defend the Constitution. The ideas of the Constitution, the meanings of the Constitution, the words, the amendments that protect and guarantee our freedoms to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what it means to support and defend the Constitution. Enlisted soldiers swear to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, just like officers do. They then swear to follow the orders of the president and the officers appointed above them. Walter is right. It is incumbent upon officers, and I've said this multiple times too. It is incumbent upon you as the officer, I'm pointing at you out there in land, you 800 generals that just listened to the weavings of a madman while he rambled on to declare war against other Americans and war against U.S. cities and use them as training grounds.
Fucking crazy.
Your oath
Fucking
of
nuts.
enlistment and your oath of commissioned office demands that you uphold the freedoms and liberties for Americans and not the orders of that president. You do not need to follow the orders of a felon who is leading the military. His orders are illegal at this point. He is trying to invade U.S. cities. He has called us domestic terrorists. He used the word insurrectionists today in his speech after saying the U.S. military will now presence patrol and use the U.S. cities as training grounds for war. None of our oaths say that we need to follow that order. It is against the Constitution to oppress your own people, because that is antithetical to freedom, liberty, and justice. When you are under oppression and tyranny, you are not being represented properly. You are being taxed without representation, and you are being put down by force of military. The army specifically is meant to protect our shores and our soil from enemies, not other Americans who are living their lives. Walter's point is huge. It is on officers to say no first. Officers, you lead the way. Senior enlisted, you definitely lead the way. And this is where some of the enlisted soldiers need to take responsibility. I'm not talking to junior enlisted at the moment. I'm not talking to junior NCOs. I'm not talking to E4, E5. I'm talking E6 and above, staff sergeant and above. You are responsible for those soldiers below you. You're responsible for their well-being. You're responsible for their livelihood, for their wives and their spouses and their husbands and their children. You are responsible for bringing that service member home safe every single fucking day. That is your job. Your job is to keep your service members and your troops alive. You are not going to fulfill that oath if you go and attack American cities, because you are going against everything that you were trained to do. Do not go and attack American cities that are living peaceably and not doing anything. If you go and quell opposition and foment another Kent State incident where 4 people died, or worse,
Yep.
you are not above accountability. Officers specifically, both our oaths demand accountability under UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Mm-hmm.
There are laws and rules that will be followed. And I talked to Professor Terence Goggin last night with Zev Shalev, and he was talking about this. I disagree with him on some of the things. I think he comes at it a little bit with rose-colored glasses and from the academia side too much. Whereas we're steeped in it a lot more right now. Today was bad. Today was bad from what just happened. And I'll talk about that with my note after. But Walter's point, just from my insight, I know I've monologued for a while here. Walter's point is really, really important, though, as a service member, is officers. It's on you, senior enlisted. It's on you to prevent illegal orders from getting down to your troops so that they never have to be put into a position where they would have to countermand your orders because they look up to you.
You know, it's just, I think at the end of the day, you know, it sucks to be continuously disappointed. You know, I think that it's one of those things where it's hard not to become disheartened. But at the same time, I think that for me, and this is what I tell myself every day, is what I tell people in the comments on my articles when they say, I feel like, you know, we're defeated. I'm like, we're not defeated unless we say we're defeated. Until we roll over and say, that's it, we're done, we quit, then we're defeated. And I think in this country too, you know, something about me, you know, Walter, I don't know if you know this, but like Nick knows this, I'm obsessed with geopolitics. I not only to understand, Nick, you make me so damn jealous, dude, when you play with your beard.
Hold on. Let me do it a little more.
Oh my God.
I'll do some ASMR on this.
You know, it's
feel that beard, baby. Bigger than yours,
understand.
Donald. Bigger than yours, Donald. Bigger than yours,
Oh,
JD.
yeah.
Look at my beard, JD. This is the beard of a man, JD.
Oh, yeah.
Can't grow that beard, can you?
Yeah, well,
got that
you
little
know,
2-inch going on.
So don't get him too depressed, or he'll stop doing. And actually, it's good. He should just go find a couple couch cushions and stay focused.
Find a love seat or two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
couches cannot give consent though, so that's couch
Yeah.
rape.
No,
And that's
well,
the
it's
thing.
okay. It's not like he would give a shit about that anyway, But better a couch than a kid. Uh, so,
Yeah, that's
God, that fuck.
true.
Jesus, Shane.
sorry.
Oh man,
No, that was funny, but holy shit. Like, wow.
that's a T-shirt. I
We
think
have
That's
better a couch
provoked
than a kid. Oh man,
better couch than a kid.
Um,
oh,
That's
so
going to be clipped too. The AI clip is going to get that as the
oh,
biggest one, too.
absolutely. And it's gonna do the thing where it zooms in on my face when it does it, since this is the phone one. So it's just gonna be aggressively zoom in on my face.
Rachel just said, "What about ottomans? Aren't they baby furniture?"
oh God, fuck you guys. Oh man.
Does a love seat count too? Are those
I don't know.
couches?
It depends if he wants an emotional connection or if he just wants to go from cushion to cushion.
Oh yeah, he's got to be able to surf.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I've always said, I wonder how many, cushions are wondering where their dad is because
Oh man.
they
Yeah.
can't take a
Have you
couch.
guys seen? Before we go any further, have you seen Big Mouth? It's on
Of course.
Netflix.
Oh no,
Yes.
I
I
haven't actually.
just
My
think of
kids refuse to
Jay,
watch it.
that little
That's
kid who
exactly who
fucks
I
his pillow.
think. That's who JD Vance is to me, JD. And then he gets upset because the couch cushion and the pillow get into a relationship and he gets
Yeah.
jealous.
Well,
Yes, I
and
love that show.
his brother fucks the pillow, and they have a
Yeah,
Oh
baby,
yeah,
man.
and they have
yeah,
this weird pillow baby, and he becomes pillow baby's dad, like
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
weird
yeah.
dad. If you guys, for anyone on here, if you have Netflix, I only say Netflix because they have not bowed to fascism yet. Um, is go watch Big Mouth. It's really funny.
It's good.
It's
It's good.
highly inappropriate for your children.
Yeah,
Do not allow them to watch it.
absolutely
However,
not.
it is a very, very good description of what puberty and hormones are actually
Absolutely.
like. So
Yes.
maybe let your older children examine some of it.
Yeah.
But it does open up with, here we have the fallopian tube.
Dude.
oh
That's
boy.
like the first fucking line of the
Yeah.
entire show.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Anyway, sorry.
yeah. I
Sorry to
mean,
detract from
I
JD
think we
fucking
got so
couches.
far away from geopolitics, I'm gonna have to reground us in the world. But I'm not upset about that at all. That was fantastic. But one of the things is with geopolitics, to understand what's happening in our country. I'm a huge guy perspective, right? Like, this country is so fucking spoiled. We're so fucking spoiled. We've never had to deal with any adversity. Our democracy is just always been around.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares if there's money in politics? It's freedom, liberty for all. Wake the
Yeah.
fuck up. That's not
Yep.
how the world works.
Yep.
Look around. Look around. Every single country, if you go anywhere where they don't have their country that was fundamentally started as a democracy, we're not even really a democracy, we're a republic. Okay?
Mhm.
And so there's elements, but the thing is, why these countries, why Ukraine is fighting so goddamn hard? Because they've lived under tyrannical leadership
Mhm.
time and time again. All of these European countries, they have had dictators. We've never had a fucking dictator. This is our moment.
Yeah.
This is our Weimar Republic. Okay. So this is where we're all apathetically
Yeah.
we're apathetic. And Rachel, yes, a democracy is when people vote. Well, people don't vote in this country. Like, look at why. Like, honestly, I don't think they would have been able to steal the election if
Yeah.
everyone had turned
Everybody.
out to vote. If everybody had shown up to vote, I don't think they would have been able to do it, because at the end of the day, they have to play with marginal numbers. And it's one of those things where also, the idea they can't steal an election. Russia's been doing it for decades, dude. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean it can't be
Yeah,
stolen?
like stealing elections is what we used to call like poll watching
Yeah,
and Jim Crow laws. That is
Yeah.
stealing elections. That is a
Yeah. Yeah.
legalized form of election
Yeah.
interference. And one thing the Constitution says so clearly is the right to vote shall not be infringed. Like they were really, really clear on one fucking thing, and it was the right to vote shall not be infringed. Yet here we are
Yeah.
infringing the right to vote all the time. It's on the government to prove that you're not a citizen. It's not on you to prove to the government that you are. It's the government has a burden of proof to prove that you are not, which means voting should be open to anyone that is over,
Yeah.
like you should be able to, once you hit 18,
Yep.
you go vote. You
Yep.
get automatically registered. Everybody gets to vote. And it's the government's burden to prove if you are not. And it has to be a really fucking high burden.
Yeah.
I want to tie into something Shane said because I thought it was great, and it's just like the hubris of this country, you know. And when I lived in Peru, you know, they had recently a period of superinflation. You know, their monetary system collapsed, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
as an American, I'm just like, what are you even talking about? And it's like, you know, the next day the price of a loaf of bread goes up like tenfold, and then it's tenfold the next day, and it's tenfold the next day. And I was talking to a banker who had to actually live through this. And this is something Americans, oh, he's gone, but this is something Americans don't think about. And yeah, he's got his Indiana Jones head or
No,
something. Perfect.
this is Peruvian. This is
Oh,
Peruvian.
okay.
Uh, this is
Perfect.
alpaca, baby alpaca.
Oh, wonderful. That's my wife is from Peru, so I spent 9 years down
Yes,
there.
I
But
love Peru. Oh my God, it's my
oh,
favorite.
it
I'm
is.
well traveled. It's one of the things about me that kind of has helped in all of my writing is that I am well traveled. I've
Yes.
been to Peru, Chile, Argentina, Ecuador.
Perfect.
So South America is my
We'll have to
favorite
have a talk
continent.
about that. We'll have
My
to have another
favorite continent.
conversation about that.
I went down to Panama at one point for like a month and a half. So I could talk about Panama a little bit. So
Hey, the
not
Let
as
me let
worldly
me
in
just add
South
though.
America and like the central part of North America or the southern end of North America, but I haven't. I've been to other places. I've been to Europe and Afghanistan, so I got that going for me.
there you go. I have not been to Afghanistan, so you
I'll
got me
tell you
Whoa.
there.
what, the Hindu Kush Mountains are beautiful at night, especially with I don't even know if that's what they're called. I forget if that's the mountain range. The mountain range in Afghanistan, between Afghanistan and um Pakistan, is beautiful at night, especially if you sit there with night vision goggles on and you look up at the sky, because night vision goggles just enhance the light around you.
Mm,
So instead of seeing just a wave of beautiful stars and the Milky Way, you see even more of a wave of beautiful stars in the Milky
Nice.
Way.
Let me just finish that thought up though. I
Sorry.
have gone through with people. I have gone through to some people with the idea of if you say, look, if you put complete morons behind the levers of power that control our whole economic system, you're not going to retire. We're going to have this whole collapse. Everything you've worked for in your whole life is going to disappear. And you just tell me, it's like, what do you think is going to happen? He's investing in some absurd cryptocurrency and making himself rich on that. And this is in addition to everything else that's going on. Like the people that aren't afraid about the military coming in, sometimes they will be swayed if you tell them your retirement's about to disappear. There'll be no money to hand over to your kids, no money for you. You're going to be out on the street. How do you think this is going to look for you? It's not going to be good.
I always say I don't think things are going to change until people get hungry. And like, you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
historically speaking, that's the
yes,
truth because people will bury their head so far into the sand to
yep,
avoid discomfort. And that's one of the things also because like my whole position is, you know, philosophical, right? Like I think you have to come from a place and I think this goes into responsible governance. I said this in my article yesterday about TESCREAL, but um, it was if you want to have responsible government, you need to have a balance of logos and ethos. You cannot have both because if you strictly go off the basis of logic, then you are going to run into issues in regards to, you know, ethical um, you know, laws, right? Like, but if you incorporate a certain degree of ethos, you're going to be able, you can't have justice without reason, but you also can't have justice without ethics. And the problem is that any kind of responsible governance requires a in-depth understanding of people. something we entirely lack. And in general, like as people, which makes government the if you're going to build a lasting government, you must build it around how people work, and you must build the system to curb the flaws that will inevitably come out of us, which is
It has to
why
help everybody.
which is why we're fucked, because we built a system that didn't curb greed. We built a system that enabled greed. Like
Encourages greed.
I am a huge proponent of a wealth cap. Why? Not because people don't deserve to get what they earn, but because we know that people will take more than they deserve. It's not about limiting what people have. It's about understanding that people will always take more. And that's the problem. That's where I think if we're going to change, like one of the things too, it's like I'm not I'm not middle of the road. I'm exceptionally divisive, but at the same time, like I think after we get Congress back, we seize all of the billionaires' assets. They're traitors to this country. They are traitors, and that money can go to healthcare. That money can go to housing. That money can go to things to fix, because if things are already fucked, but guess what? They have enough money to turn America into a fucking utopia overnight.
Yes.
You know, like
I think the Epstein files will take care of that. Because it's like once you've committed those crimes, you have no rights to those assets anymore. And I think that's why they've bought up all the papers and they bought up all the politicians, and they're using the entire power of their wealth to cover up this horrible crime that they're all part of. And and unfortunately, it seems like about 75% of our politicians take money from those assholes. And we're down to what? 3 corporate conglomerates with all of our media. So we don't even have to say, all we have to do is stop giving taxpayer money to billionaires, end all the subsidies to billionaires. Oh, you went there. And then, it's like, and then hold the ones that have committed crimes accountable. And all of what you've talked about will be taken care of in a way that shouldn't be controversial to anybody.
Yeah. I think the big piece in all of this is accountability. It's like, I'm not here for forgiveness. I'm not here for forgetting. I'm not here for unify and let go for the sake of the country. We tried that every single fucking time. It is time to hold anti-constitutionalists and democracy busters accountable to the extent that our law is meant to hold them accountable for their actions. Treason is a thing, and treasonous actions include aiding and abetting our enemies, like, I don't know, allowing a dictator to walk on Alaskan soil who has an international arrest warrant named Vladimir Putin.
For child trafficking too,
For child trafficking.
He's a child trafficker.
Yeah, he's a child trafficker. He's in the Epstein files. He is.
Yeah.
Like, we know this. We know he's in the Epstein files.
He's like the supplier. Yeah.
Russia provides children. That's literally what Russia has done for decades. Like, it's Russia.
They're stealing Ukrainian children.
I mean, it's crazy how, well, I mean, it's not crazy because again, it's like, I don't know. It was yesterday when we were talking to Ogre, when I was talking about how the world used to be, there were people with wealth, but they were kings, right? They're monarchs, and they each had their own realm. So there was always people with all this money and power, but the difference was each of them wanted to usurp the other. So there was no, what's going on, Yolanda? There was no unity behind the wealth. There was no concentration. So the King of France wanted to steal everything from the King of England. They're both filthy rich, but they're not working together, which means they were never able to concentrate the power behind that wealth. Now, what happened in Rome is not what happened in the Middle East. Why did Rome really collapse? Because it became an oligarchy, because the power and wealth consolidated and they stopped governing their massive territory and they started trying to get all of the money. And ultimately, what that does is once governance stops and the government becomes a means for accumulation of wealth, systems break down. When systems break down, you can't properly govern your territory. What's happened is we are in the end of Rome. We have entered the death throes of Rome. History repeats itself. There was no civilization as successful as the Romans. Like, you can go back, like, there is a reason, and I've been to Pompeii. There is a reason that those buildings are still standing, because they were engineering geniuses. It took us thousands of years to figure out how they made their concrete, because literally it's self-healing. It's self-healing. It's incredible. There's a lime in there, and when it cracks, it seals itself back up. They had plumbing. They had all of these things that come from prosperity. And like, just like America, they were assholes. They were terrible to everyone they subjugated. They thought themselves higher. They had this, superior form of government. And like, Rome was literally like a civilization of angry tiny men. Because if you actually go back, they were all like 4 foot something. Like, when you're walking around the buildings, you have to like duck to go in the doorways. It's so comical because they are like larger than life in history, but it's literally like they were the same height as, like, probably like your son, Nick.
Yeah.
He's not
Like,
fully
they're
grown.
big people.
Yeah, no. So anyway, I just think that too is one of those things. Is like, history is the analog for what we're seeing.
Yep.
Oligarchy is inevitable. It doesn't matter if you start with communism, doesn't matter if you start with capitalism. Unless you have a situation where you curb greed, it is inevitable. And that's our consistent failure, is we're not
Yeah.
able to counter our own nature. And that
Yeah.
if we're going to be successful as a species, we have to understand the nature of human beings and how when we, and I do believe at some point we get our government back. Whether we build a new government, whether we are forced to start over, go back to the Constitution and pull it back,
Yeah.
start over, or by some miracle, the I don't even want to say, like, the Democrats. I don't even know. I don't think they're
Yeah.
Democrats. I think you just have to have ethical representatives. The ethical
Yeah.
representatives within our government decide that they are going to do something. I think if we get to the midterms and we vote, they're fucked. I really
Yeah.
do. I really firmly believe that. I think that they will do everything in their power to stop
Yeah.
it. Me and Nick have talked about this as well. But I
We got to
think
start with the
that,
primaries. We got to start with
right.
the primaries. Get all these
Yeah.
Yeah.
assholes out. That's where our real
Yeah.
focus is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to support
You can vote them
candidates
out there.
like Kat Abigazela, who is going out
Yeah.
and being a part of our community and getting body slammed for fucking asking questions at ICE facilities, who's actively
Yeah.
participating and supporting her community. Like, that's the type of people we want. Zohran
Yep.
Mamdani, AOC. Yeah,
Yep.
AOC,
Yep.
I think, is being held back, to be totally honest. I think
Oh
she's
yeah.
had
They've
to
been
shift who
sabotaging.
she is. She's
They
been
sabotaged.
sabotaged, just like Bernie never was as progressive as he could have been.
Yep.
He is a populist. He's a progressive populist. Zohran Mamdani is a progressive populist. AOC is a progressive populist. I think we just need to get rid of the fucking two-party system finally. Like, can
Yeah.
we take
Yeah.
this opportunity to finally dismantle the two-party system in this country? Washington told us not to do it. The founding fathers told us it would be the death of the country to have a two-party political system, because eventually it becomes a one-party corporate system that
Yeah.
only cares about
What we
oligarchy.
got?
Just like
Yep.
Shane says,
Yep.
unrestricted greed always leads to greed. Like, power, greed begets greed begets greed, power begets power. The thing is, we need politicians. I want a politician, and they would never win in our environment, but I would love a presidential politician or a presidential candidate to come in and say, I will follow only what the Constitution allows me to do as president, and I will hand back all power that Congress has abdicated to me back to the legislative branch.
Rachel
I
made
will
a
hand
great
over the service of the U.S. Marshals to the judicial branch. and we're going to impeach the rest of you fuckers. Like,
Rachel made a
that's
great
it.
comment. And she said we need another branch of civilian oversight. I actually strongly agree with this. When I wrote forever ago, I wrote something called the Firebrand Declaration. But in it, there's something that I think might be the solution. And if we were to, when we do, not if we were to, when we are able to amend the Constitution for the modern era, I think that it is essential that a fourth branch of the government is created. I think the model for this should be the inspector generals. I think they should be the effective government. They are an independent body. They are apolitical. They have the power of oversight. And I think not the marshals. I don't think they should go to the judiciary. I think they should go to this branch. And I think their role would be to oversee everybody, whether you're in Congress, whether you're the president, whether you're a Supreme Court justice. And they have just as much power to remove officials from office because it is their whole job. And these people as well, there's lots of ways this could be done, but one of the ways I think that we could do something like this is that I think one, for this to work, we would need to build an education system where everyone is educated in civics. But I think there should be a situation where people are universally educated, but they are also like it's part of your responsibility to potentially serve in a certain branch of government. Like there's a pool, right? And as all of us are responsible as citizens to do something, right? Because a democracy is work and you're not just entitled to it. And but again, the key here is universal education. If we want people to be put into these kind of roles because to have a partisan system, right, you need to have, nonpartisan system, you need to have universal civic education and you need to have a certain understanding that this is what our government does. And people could, and this has to be developed. It's going to have to be built out. You're going to have to do these things. And I don't know if that's the
Welcome to
immediate
Banner and
thing.
Backbone.
Right.
Yeah, these are great ideas.
But I think that we need a fourth branch. And one, after this, the president gets his fucking testes cut off. He's done. He's done. He's gonna be like, he's about to be like,
Metaphorically speaking, I don't think he has any left anyway, so
Yeah.
it'd be hard to cut anything
like
off.
no more executive orders. And if they do, they need to be like immediately ratified by Congress before they
No more
have
pardons.
and no more pardons. And they need to like be approved. Like if the president is going to put forward an executive order, it needs to follow the same methodology that Congress does if they're going to draft a bill. Like you can't have, and they even said this, like, I'm pretty sure like it goes back to when they established it. They're like, we should not have this. This allows the president to be a king. Like if they're able to essentially just issue law, like, and the problem is, I don't think it would work if Congress functioned. If Congress was functional and they could strike these things down, that would be different. But since Congress is non-functional, what we are seeing and why this is a dictatorship is because when the Supreme Court is complicit and when Congress is non-functional, the executive order can be used as a means of dictatorship.
Yeah. And we also have, too, this colossal problem that they can appoint the leader of the Department of Justice. I mean, it's a built-in kind of oversight. If you're committing crimes, they should be arrested. And we've got it just kind of magically got set up where we don't hold these people accountable for, attempting to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
These are kind of so all those systems are already in place. We just kind of there's an option where we could refine them. The ongoing war on education is a problem. An idea I like too is just mandatory voting. They have that in Peru too. That would change
They have that in
everything.
Australia too.
Yeah.
People say that's like contrary to freedom. I totally disagree. I totally disagree.
It forces you to actually be civically educated and minded and know what you're doing. And it also does give you, like Australia, the way they do it is you get charged a fee if you do not vote.
Right.
You have the option to not vote. You just have to pay to not vote. You have the choice to not vote by paying and saying, hey, I don't want to have a voice in our democracy right now. Here's some of my money. You go and decide how to represent me because I'm too fucking lazy to learn about it myself and do the work that is necessary to properly govern myself. That's what it is. It's laziness on a lot of people's parts because of apathy and
Yeah.
the destruction of the education system and no
Yep.
civics. I think, Shane, you're really right, is like civics is understanding and defining like what civics really is and how people can be civically minded
Yeah.
and
Well, they've
as
deliberately
I put in
taken.
and as I put in into the banner and backbone stuff is rise, restore integrity, service, and
Yeah.
ethics.
They've deliberately taken civics out of public school curriculums. That's been taken out for years. And it's exactly a lot of what I'm looking around and seeing though too is it seems like the rich people looked at what happened in the 60s and the activism and they're just like we have to shut that all down. So there's not even any protest music anymore. They've attacked education for decades and it just seems it's so bizarre that they're so dedicated. They've spent decades eroding every system that could possibly lead to decency and for the betterment of humanity. And they're sitting on this massive fortune of stolen labor that can be traced all the way back to the slave era. And it's like, and like exactly as you've been saying, Shane, we've all have our head in the sands. We're just like, I'll just try to get through the day, and I'm just not going to worry about those bigger issues. And really, it's just like just a little bit of action, a little bit of deliberate action. Start talking about the Nuremberg defense. We need all of our political leaders of the past, Obama and Biden. They're just like, that Nuremberg defense isn't going to work. And if we just start, nobody's saying that. We have all these
Yeah.
mechanisms of talking, and we're just letting them steamroll us still. And it's only like the citizen journalists like here, because the mainstream media is completely complicit. It's compromised. It's helping them because it's owned by these assholes, and they've
Yeah.
been systematically destroying everything for decades. So yeah, we're at a culmination point, as you've been saying. We got a
So
lot of work to do.
I'm gonna drop in a link into the chat here for everyone, and it's an article that Lawrence Winterman wrote for Banner and
Mm.
Backbone, and it's about the Citizen's Oath. Um, and I think it fits really in line, Shane, with what you're talking about in all of this too. Is citizens need to remember that there's a responsibility to be part of a system. Like I was taught that I was born into a social contract that as I got older, I signed by paying my taxes, by voting, by participating in democracy, by understanding who the candidates were and what I was voting on. That is participation. I was told
Yeah.
that going to rallies and events and protesting and speaking my voice and celebrating wins or protesting losses and peacefully doing it was civic engagement. We need to remember those. I remember watching Schoolhouse Rock growing up and learning what a bill
Yeah.
was and learning how
Yeah.
laws were made and passed. We need all of that without PragerU and all of that shit. But I want to read the Citizen's Oath because it's very similar to the oath of enlistment, the oath of commissioned officers, the oath that Congress takes, the oath that the president takes. It takes into account all of the oaths. It is, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the rights and responsibilities afforded to me as a citizen of the United States of America. Rights and responsibilities. Those rights are you have the right to vote, you have the right to free speech, you have the right to bodily autonomy, you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is defined in our Constitution.
And data
They have
privacy.
been limited, and data
Yeah.
privacy. Those are defined already. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are defined concepts that we need to flesh out. I totally agree.
Thanks,
And
Yolanda.
I think more people need to take the Citizen's Oath and think about what it actually means to faithfully discharge the rights and responsibilities of being a citizen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. The entitlement just gets people because people are so indoctrinated. And I wrote an article just recently, the toxic ideology of white supremacy. And we should pivot to a little bit. The right now is trying to push this just absurd lie that the left is responsible for this violence that's happening right now, completely without any kind of evidence whatsoever. We got to push back strong about that because that's the argument they're using to justify their aggressions against us. The truth is, there is no left in the United States. This is all, and compared to the whole world and the Overton wisdom, this is a right-wing country, all of it. Everything that doesn't work is because of right-wing. And the reason we have mass shootings are because of white supremacy ideology every single time. That's the ideology that convinces people they can take a human life. It's all their fault. It's always on them. We have to be clear about this because I watch television and you see so many of these right-wing pundits, they just segue right into blaming the left and nobody pushes back. And that's absurd and it's inaccurate and they're setting the grounds to kill us when they say that. So we have to be forceful and established. It's the right-wing hate ideology that causes violence. That's what's responsible for all these mass shootings. That's how young men are radicalized so they're willing to take life because they think they're superior and then they become frustrated. And we have to do something about the indoctrination that's happening. These right-wing hate programs, free speech is protected, but not threatening speech, not speech that causes people to die. And the number one cause of death among our kids is gun violence. Because of these right-wing hate indoctrinators, they have to be stopped.
Yeah, so let's go on to that vein for a second because that ties into the note that I wanted to do for today's Notes of the Week. Also, good morning, Professor Goggin. I saw you come into the chat. Welcome with us. It's great to have you here. If you are in the chat with us, I would highly recommend scrolling back up a little bit and hitting Professor Goggin's name and subscribing to him and following him. He's a former West Point history professor. I got to speak with him last night. It was an incredibly wonderful talk. I pushed back on some of his ideas. He pushed back on ours. It was a full discussion and brought us to a really good point where we could discuss today in general and what was going to happen at this meeting and what our thoughts were on it. And so I really valued his opinion last night. He also is very civically minded, and it fits right into the concepts that we've been talking about for re-engaging and restoring civics in this country and revitalizing it using things like Banner and Backbone, and maybe making our own new versions of what Schoolhouse Rock is, and what the definition of the Constitution is, things like that. Like, we have ideas that we got to grasp onto. But for my note today, it's talking about the language that's being used and how the right wing, specifically Donald Trump through Stephen Miller's ideas at this point in many ways, are using certain words and phrases to label anyone who is radical left or Antifa as an insurrectionist. He used the word insurrectionist today in his speech to the generals. He also called us the enemy from within. He has called us domestic terrorists. He has now claimed and stated in that open press conference that he gave Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, the authorization to use some of these dangerous cities, and this is his quote, verbatim quote, use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military. The Secretary of War, in his speech before, said, we are training for war and war only, and we will train as though we are at war and going into war. That sounds like an attack on Americans and a call to invade U.S. cities. It does not matter if it's only 200 federal troops. Why the fuck are we allowing more than 0 federal troops into any U.S. city? We're not at war. He claimed firefighters were being shot at in inner cities and dying on ladders. You know, the last time I heard about firefighters dying and being shot at was a shooting in Idaho by a white nationalist who killed 2 firefighters, who was a Trump-supporting MAGA piece of shit, who was probably a groiper too. So no, it is not the left that is violent. It is absolutely this death cult of hatred and fascism that is coming from the right. The left isn't shooting people, especially not at the rates that the right is. Every shooting that has come out, we had 3 this weekend, 3. Two of them were veterans. Two of them were radicalized white veterans who turned radical, who fought for our country in war and then were taken advantage of and turned and radicalized, and the systems were torn away from them. One of them had severe PTSD.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to crack at some point. The dude needed help and we let him go. We have told all these people, you're worthless. The government keeps telling Americans that we're worthless. Of course people are pissed off. Of course people want to fight back.
Yeah.
But here's the message I want to give. You're not worthless. You value just for you, for being alive, for being who you are. You're not worthless. You matter because you exist. I matter because I matter to myself. Doesn't matter if anyone else needs me. I matter because I'm alive and I matter to myself. If you're religious, you should also value that sanctity because you are all God's creatures created in his or her or their image. So treat yourself in that way. Be woke as fuck because that's what you are, because you value yourself. They don't value themselves. That being said, if you turn the situation and show them value, that you value them, maybe, and it's going to be a slow process to unbrainwash people, is maybe you'll help. Maybe you'll make a difference and remind somebody that they're valued, especially white men right now. If you're white and you're a male, go talk to your white male friends. Go tell them they matter to you. Go tell your friends they matter to you. I tell my friends I love them all the time. I tell my wife I love her all the time. I tell people I love them and I care about them because I do, because I value that they're alive. Show somebody that little bit of love. Be the thing they don't want us to be. But don't give in to weakness and say, it's not weak to love. Don't let them tell you that.
Yeah. Got any thoughts, Shane? I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I do have some notes
Yeah.
for you guys. So something that's interesting about my notes, if you follow me, is my whole thing is I'm either informing you of something that happened, um, or my big thing is I try and undermine the legitimacy of this government when I make my notes. I don't refer to Trump as the president. He's Don or Donnie or, little hands or, whatever. He's never the president. He's not the president. He's never been the president. He wasn't even elected as our president. He's not a president. He's a fucking loser. And so there's a couple that I had, and my favorite from this week was the president's hatred of windmills, and president is in quotations. Hatred of windmills would be comical if he wasn't the fucking president. Dude, it's a wind turbine and the wind does blow. Holy shit. He is so dumb. Like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, if you read this, because people get so down and they think these people are so powerful. When I make these kind of notes, I'm reminding them that no, he is a fucking idiot. And idiots can be dealt with. The note that I have had that's done phenomenal this month, it's at 13,000 likes and
Oh, let me pull that one up for you.
Yeah, 3.5 thousand restats, 433 comments. I have made it one of my personal missions in life to shit on Peter Thiel, and nonstop. People don't talk about this guy.
Yeah.
He's literally such a cowardly piece of shit. It's crazy. He backs these ideas that are so just degrading and awful, but he will never show his face. I always talk about him. He's always 1 to 2 degrees removed because he's a coward, because he's a loser, because he is not strong enough to represent his own goddamn hateful ideas. He has to have someone else do it for him. And this is, and it came out that Peter Thiel is in the Epstein files. So the comment is this, and it's all in bold, and it's like a rant. It's like it reads like a rant, and it goes, Peter Thiel is in the Epstein files? You're telling me the techno-fascist Nazi oligarch who bankrolled the vice president was a core author of Project 2025, runs America's scariest tech company, Palantir, whose biggest client is the government? Takes deep breath, asterisk. Um, who is amazing pals with Elon Musk, who stole all our data, is also a pedophile? I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
Just remember,
what else?
both Peter Thiel or Thiel, I guess it doesn't really matter. He's a nihilist, so nothing really matters. So I'm going to say his name wrong all I want, because fuck him. They
What? Go ahead.
Peter
knew
Cool?
Epstein was a pedophile when they met him. They
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
That's
Epstein
the fucked
provided
up
a
part.
service. He was a service provider. He had no value. He offered
Yeah.
nothing other
Yeah.
than a service. So if you met with Epstein, it was because you were seeking the service that he provided. He came out of nowhere and got filthy fucking rich. Why? Because he was willing to provide a service to people.
Yeah.
And so I got this comment a lot, and I really want to address this because I'm not saying that it's wrong to point out that Thiel is gay at all. But I do have a problem with it being used like, oh, he's gay. Like, why is he gay? It doesn't matter if he's gay, right? Like,
Yeah.
whether you're gay or not doesn't matter.
Doesn't preclude
Right.
you from being a pedophile.
Right. Like,
Straightness,
of course,
gayness doesn't matter.
Of course, Epstein provided young boys as girls because he's a provider of a service. Clients have different desires. So, and who knows, maybe Peter hates himself. He hates the fact that he's gay. So maybe he molested little girls because he hates himself and he wanted to like, there's so much psychology here, but him being gay and the amount of comments referring to him as being gay, it doesn't matter to me because I almost think like making a big deal about him being gay, it
Yeah.
misses the point. Him being
And
gay is irrelevant. The problem is he is interacting and having lunch with a pedophile trying to set up a visit to Epstein's island for his
Yeah.
buddy Elon Musk. Like that's what this is, right? So, it does not matter if he's gay. And I understand people being like, "Oh, well, he's gay. Epstein trafficked girls." No, he didn't. He was a service provider. He trafficked whatever was asked.
yeah. And just because we haven't had any names of boys be revealed doesn't mean there aren't any. Just remember, men are less likely to report sexual assault or abuse than women are because we're told not to. We are told as a society that men cannot. I heard lots of jokes growing up about this, that boys cannot be raped. They always want it. Men always want it. They're never raped. They just want it. Well,
Yeah.
that's fucking not true. That's not true in the least. Men can be raped. Boys are raped all the time. And just because none have been named in the Epstein files yet, or none have been willing to come forward yet, does not mean there aren't thousands of them. Many will never be named. Many will never be recorded because they're little boys or little girls who were taken from, say, Ukraine or a old Soviet bloc country, stolen and brought over and purchased, or they were taken by ICE and folks like that and stolen and disappeared. We don't ever hear about the little boys and girls, the children who get taken by ICE. They disappear into the system. A lot of
1,200
little
people are
boys.
missing from
Yeah,
Alligator
and
Alcatraz. They're just fucking missing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, you're going to tell me CNN and MSNBC are fucking reliable networks? They haven't said shit.
Yeah.
1,200 people are missing. Are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, get the fuck out of here. If you really think that our media is even relatively functional at this point, you're fucking wrong. Because if you go to other countries, guess what? They're reporting that the United States has disappeared 1,200 detainees because they're like, what the fuck? Because
Yeah.
it is a what the fuck thing. You don't lose 1,200 people. One of two things has happened. And to be honest with you, at this point, it was in Florida. They're probably dead somewhere in the Everglades. They didn't have somewhere to send them because there's not enough beds. I did a firebrand investigation into this. Ice and the Weasel. I talked about how many beds are actually available. There is not enough beds for the amount of people they're detaining. And if you do the math, the amount of people that are being flown out of the country versus the amount of people being detained, it's not even feasible that they're actually being deported. They are probably dead. And there is a reason no one is talking about it because they don't want people to go looking. Because if they do go look, they're either somewhere in the ocean or they're somewhere in the Everglades. One of the two. You don't lose 1,200 people without a trace.
Or
That
they're in
doesn't
the medical
happen.
incinerator.
It doesn't.
That's what I was
Was
gonna say.
randomly
There
out
was that.
7 miles out from Alligator Alcatraz in the middle of nowhere that had those heat spots show up. Soon after they said,
Yep.
oh, we have to close this place down,
Yep.
a whole bunch of heat spots started showing up in the middle of nowhere, Alligator Alcatraz, that were recorded by NASA satellites.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
someone did a look
Information's
into it.
available. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
open. It's
I mean,
the
someone
go
just fucking
follow.
hike out there, dude. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
like if you're in that area, I mean, and you're adept in moving around the Everglades, go find those pictures, go out there because unless someone takes a picture of that fucking incinerator, those people will disappear. You know what will happen? If the news might report if a viral video goes out of a federally funded incinerator in the middle of the Everglades. To force these people to even kind of report, it needs to be so dramatic that they are like, it actually gets them views. Because understanding too, the way the mainstream media works, it's a business. They make money off of advertisements, which is why they give a shit about the amount of people viewing, because they value their airtime based on the amount of people that they can prove will see the advertisement. Understand that this is absolutely, we have completely profitized our news. So there is no incentive to actually provide real and effective information. That's why politics have been created and made so divisive because it makes for consistent viewership. It gets people emotionally involved and it makes money. The news is actually so ugly and uncomfortable that most people don't want to watch it. And that is, but what I have to say, and like, what I think is important now and what we're seeing is that people are starting to realize what's going on because we are seeing growth on Substack. I'm seeing people every day, new people. People are abandoning the media. They're over it because they can see with their own eyes what's happening around them.
Yeah. So we're just over the hour. And I've got another show I'm going to be going to here in about 25 minutes. I'm going to be doing a special vet talk with Melissa Corrigan over on Banner and Backbone. We are going to discuss the Hegseth speech, drunken ramble on the warrior ethos and Trump's tirade against American citizens. So please join us over on Banner and Backbone. Before we go, though, Walter, can you let everybody know if they haven't followed you already, where they can follow you, how they can support your work?
Oh, great. Yep. I'm on I'd Rather Be Writing, it's called. Because I'd rather just be telling fun stories to my kid than doing all this. But we're in this fight till the end, people, and we're going to win it. There's no other alternative. We have to keep resisting because the only other option is to enable this evil that's going on. And it's a lot worse than we know right now. So keep uncovering the truth, keep sharing it with us. We'll do our best to keep expanding our readership, and people are going to know. You can't hide the truth forever. And it's been wonderful talking to Shane too. Thank you so much for joining
It was
today.
a pleasure. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, Shane, where can everybody find you, brother?
Come see me over at the Firebrand Project. So you can find my publication. What I've been doing this just about since the end of February. And I write every day. I got fired because my job was stupid. But now I'm here, and I'm on Substack, and I'm going to do this full time. So, something you guys can do is come over to the Firebrand Project, become a free subscriber, to help get visibility and growth. I'm now doing a show, which Nick will be with me tomorrow on the Firebrand Report. So make sure you guys come and check that out. I do 3 topics from the news, every day, and I give an analysis of kind of what's going on, what I think is going to be relevant for you to remember, and give you my take. As well as I publish, like I said, every day. I'm doing a monthly Firebrand investigation. And this is something that I'm going to be, trying to offer in perpetuity. One of the best ways you guys can help me is becoming a free subscriber. If you can become a paid subscriber and help me do this full time, because ultimately I did lose my job. So I'm kind of risking it for the biscuit right now.
Mhm.
But it's important. Our democracy is important. Free speech is important. And I want to provide this for you guys and continue to grow our communities at Banner and Backbone, the Firebrand Project. And come over and support me over there. I definitely write with a lot of heat. I don't pull punches. But I think for a lot of people, it's a little bit of refreshing honesty. So I'm happy to be here. Nick just texted me before. He's like, "Come on and meet Walter." I was like, "Okay, sounds good."
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yeah, I'm all pissed off hearing all this shit. I'm gonna go to the gym, and then I will see you guys at 12:30 if you can make it Pacific Standard Time for the Firebrand Report today.
well, thanks both Walter, Shane, everyone in the audience. Please go subscribe to the 2 amazing co-hosts and guests here today. And if you can become paid subscribers with them, support them. If you can then become a paid subscriber and you've got a little bit left over, come support me. I'm also doing this full time. But as I say always at the end of every show, and I appreciate all of you, is let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit. So I'll see y'all
Absolutely.
tomorrow and have a great day. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.